welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dudley Boys of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilbourn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete with a very good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review AEW Dynamite and the go-home show ahead of AEW Beach Break.
Indeed, the hot streak continues. Not quite as good as the last 3 weeks, but still a very good show that approached greatness at times. I'm just in a good mood with AEW at present. We are month 1 of the 6-month rehab. Just get on with it, lads. Just get on with it project. And it struck me that it just feels sure of itself. It knows what it wants to do, knows what it is. No snipes back and forth with the Fed. Like Tony Khan's done a bit of growing up, I think, in recent months. And he's just, unlike this guy, put his nose to that grindstone and just decided to do the goddamn work. And it's paying dividends like we said it would if you just got on with the business of being good. I've got an analogy for you, but I don't know if you're not really metalhead guys.
Oh, really?
I'm not. I dip in.
Like 80s hair metal. That's my extent of it, yeah.
I dip in. Like one of my favorite bands of all time happens to be metal, Pantera. I used to love it when I was younger. Not so much anymore, but if you don't know the analogy, specifically, I'm sure there's a band or a director who's gone on a similar career trajectory, right? So, Machine Head, 90s metal band who are still going, and this will become relevant. They come out, like early 90s, it's like face-melting sound. Absolutely unbelievable. They're not quite as zeitgeisty, really, as AEW was in wrestling, but the analogy will make sense. So they released 2 really well-acclaimed albums. They are part of the sound that redefines metal, that sort of a lot of new metal bands will derive inspiration from. Machine Head, later in the 90s, a bit like, not unlike AEW going, oh, well, you know, if cinema is in and you can't beat them, join them with the sports entertainment misadventures of 2023. They started doing new metal, and their core base was like, what the hell are you doing? Sacrifice their credibility, and like they didn't cross over because you already had Corn and Limp Bizkit and what have you. There's already a Fed for the Fed, and then they were in danger of being dropped. I think they actually were for a time, and then they decided, you know what, why don't we just do what we do but good again? Like, don't play the industry game. Don't try to be something that we're not. And then from, 20 years, they've just been going on this, we're just going to release great album after great album. And they've gone from really promising new metal band to, what are you doing, lads, to they're now one of the most acclaimed heavy metal bands in the history of the genre. Right. And there'll be other examples of artists who've exploded, were really the hip thing for a while, got unhip, and then just decided, why don't we just do good stuff and then just have this really long tenured run. And that's what AEW has done. It's exploded, zeitgeist, saviors, all these lofty descriptions like thrust upon them, like a lot of responsibility, and then they blew it for a while with systemic mismanagement, like really terrible approach to creative, and just, you knew not to do this because you grew up on WCW, like, what are we actually doing here? And then they've decided not to play the game anymore and just do good stuff. And it's really reassuring because I made peace with the fact that this feeling that they were too desperate to recapture last year cannot in fact be recaptured. Too dreamlike, too surreal, too many conditions making it so. You'll never get that vibe again. So instead, do your more hard-working, nose to the grind, get on with it. You're not hip that much. You're not going to be these savior figures. Nothing ever like that lasts forever. Just quietly and proudly and intelligently and diligently get on with the business of being really, really good. And I'm happy to report that from my perspective anyway, we are really on course to getting there. Like, just one thing as well, because I might forget this. Like, the proof is in this venue looked amazing. As soon as I saw the opening shot, I just knew this was going to be a great show or a very good show. I'd be disappointed if it's a bad show. Look, there was a bit, right, and this crowd was amazing all night. But what really struck me, other than the Tony Storm pop, Jesus Christ, that was amazing, was Rush is doing a little backstage promo, line, outline, catchphrase. And these fans are so enthused that they're chanting, "You get the horns," along, like Rush, who's barely been on TV, certainly not Dynamite, you know? It just feels like finally they stopped pissing about, they stopped doing this challenger brand, like, disruptor nonsense that was becoming a bit of a joke, if in fact it ever wasn't billionaire funded operation, you know. I just think there's a reassurance. I mean, there's a sense of assurance going through AEW right now that I find really, really like encouraging. They just know what they want to be now, and the TV is really speaking for itself.
I totally agree. Yeah, I was watching Dynamite thinking exactly that, like shoot conditional machine head comeback. That's exactly
that's
what we've all been saying. The venue for me on this episode there wasn't a lot of bad, but there was one segment I thought was quite bad, and then the venue made it good, and like we'll get to that. But like there was so many elements here, you know, taking a couple of weeks out of the world, but most of it is where I left it, and that's a good thing, because in almost every key story we are properly back to working from the end backwards. I can't yet quite decide. I think I know the All-In destination or the John Moxley title story climax, I think. But you can only really narrow it down to 3. Mm-hmm. And one of them's up a mountain.
Doing kick flips.
Yeah.
This.
Whatever. You can only narrow it down to 3, really, and that's good. And soon enough that's going to be 2. And then realistically, soon enough, that's going to be 1. And I believe wholeheartedly that they already know the 1. It's just us that have to, at the moment, try and narrow it down. And I think you can extend that patience down pretty much every major story on the show. There's not, like, all of the stuff we're going to talk about on this feels plotted far beyond what we're watching. And that's so important, because you want not just fantasy book the stories that you're in, but you want to fantasy book the stories that are coming next for, like, the winners and the losers, ideally. It's never perfect, and some people fall away. Either the roster, I would say, in terms of this not being maybe as like lofty as some of the previous episodes, the roster feels in as great a position as it's been in, even when even when some of the angle advancements might not. Like, you cannot hit home runs every week, but you just want to feel like this is. I said this loads about WWE in the last couple of years. You cannot hit home runs every week with every single angle. But if you and I did and have loved so many of these characters, you can afford a quieter week for the character, because you can be excited for the next week instead. And it
was always going to be with Beach Break on the horizon as well.
Yeah, indeed. It's well paced stuff.
Look to your destinations, and they've got one.
It just feels like I know this is so simple. Like, I know who's going to be on the TV show. I want these wrestlers to be in these matches. Like that rotating cast was getting ridiculous a couple of years ago. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. I know who's going to be on the show more often than not. I know who, if they're not on this week, is going to be on next week. I know what these pay-per-view cards are going to look like, and that's a good thing. It's a world again. It is a world again with characters I can invest in, because this rotating cast is starting to just slow to a halt, to the point that someone like Speedball Mike Bailey is a welcome addition and is making a difference.
We didn't review it. We talked about the quality of the match, but I want to criticize WWE as a way to put over something in AEW at the moment. Yeah, exactly right.
Nostalgic. I've been doing it the whole time. But
Sidge told me to watch that Young Bucks tag match, and I did. And I haven't seen them, but Speedball's been getting raves, right? Everything that Ricochet does in character is getting raves. We're going to talk about these wrestlers, again, on this show, getting raves for what they're doing really, really well. Proper, it's A to B to C, but I think I always want that. I know that sometimes scans as boring, but I want that. The SmackDown follow-up of that TLC was pathetic. You should have been talking about, you should have been doing video packages of the best bits. this is WWE we're talking about, you know, like do some slow motion bits where you cut off just before the spot happens. It's like, if you missed it last week, you need to find this match and check it out because it's just made 6 stars of our undercard or whatever. And it was rubbish. The follow-up was rubbish. The Street Profits weren't held aloft as like, how have they even survived this match? Like, they are the champions of this division, and this division has never felt better or anything like that. Very un-WWE not to do that off the, like, universal critical acclaim this match received.
Even I liked it.
In the face of everybody going, why is that not on WrestleMania? The wrestlers wrestling themselves like they were angry they weren't on WrestleMania. Like, AEW were doing that. That is a total reversal of where we've been at like the last couple of years now. And especially when you're getting the quality week on week on week that like the Young Bucks, for example, are stacking up at the moment. It's like only good things will come from that.
I just sat back at the end of this show and thought, it's amazing how much this show's changed since Fozzy went on tour and the Death Riders were limited to a main event match. That was it.
Doesn't hurt.
I mean, yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
Like you say, the rest of the cast on this show is more than capable of filling those gaps that were just...
There's no gaps.
Dirge. Hangman Page opens the show. He comes out, gets on the microphone and says he's never understood after everything he's done why people would cheer for him. But it makes a difference, so thank you to the fans.
I've turned heel on the hair. I'm sorry, I've turned heel.
Hangman's hair?
I liked it initially, I've gone off it now.
I really like it.
because it's at like a mid-length from when he first got it cut to back at the proper length. Don't like it where we're at. It's too much like one of my aunties. Sorry.
I like it. I think
I'd
it's
have to put it
hot.
out there.
Thinks one of your aunties looks hot, mate. What are you going to do about that?
Pass his details over to my uncle and let them fight it out. It's not my problem.
The past 2 years.
She was probably a hottie back in the day, I don't know.
Shut up, bro.
Everyone gets older. Everyone gets older.
The past 2 years have been some kind of special hell, says Hangman. After what happened to him and his family, he wanted revenge, justice, and he found it. He took from another man his hopes and dreams and nearly killed him. But after the cage match, he stood there, thought he'd feel some kind of closure, but he felt nothing. And he thought for a minute maybe if he went back to the ring and finished the job, he'd get that. But he couldn't do it. Fans chant, tell us why. And he's like, I don't know why. But I took that frustration and bottled it up and unleashed it on anyone in my way. But all it did was tear those down around me. And he looks down the lens and says he'd never forget or forgive what Swerve did to him, but he'd have to put it behind him. And with that, he made the decision to enter the Owen and beat Josh Alexander and Carl Fletcher. And now at Double or Nothing, he's going to wrestle who everyone calls the best wrestler in the world, Will Ospreay. And out comes the birthday boy. He little glance at the Owen Cup.
Today, is it?
I think it was yesterday.
Happy birthday, belated birthday.
You know how old he is.
Will Ospreay?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're all in our 30s.
I took a punt yesterday
He's
and I was
32?
lambasted by these. I've said that as well, and we were both bang on. Bingo! Like, nah, he's got to be younger. I was like, nah, he's
32.
He's done some stuff.
We're all in our 30s.
3 years away from his wrestler's prime.
Yeah.
He's ridiculous.
But yeah, 30-year-olds just everywhere you look.
We're both in our 30s.
We're all in our 30s, and by that I mean me, Sidge, and
Will Ospreay.
Out he comes. There's a face-off. Even that just gets a holy chant from the crowd. And he apologises to Page for interrupting his therapy session. Brav. This is the first time they've ever spoken to one another. It's a pleasure to meet the Hangman, but he wants to apologise for everything that Page has been through. He knows he's been through a lot. And he knows how much this match means to Page. Everyone does. He talks about one of his favourite moments in AEW when Page took the Misfits in the Dark Order and showed him leadership and became AEW World Champion. He said it's perfect.
It was Fraser Cranium's favourite AEW moment as well.
It's a good one.
Don't need a hat to be a cowboy. That match, that presentation, those entrances, that feeling. Jesus Christ.
The spotlight for Brody Lee.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
Firing.
powerful.
They were firing.
Yep.
But then after he lost it, everything changed. Ospreay understands that. But after he beat Fletcher last week, Ospreay and the fans noticed something that Page hasn't done in a long time. That's smile. And while everyone wants him to beat the demons and claim his spot as the main character, I've kind of got a problem with that, says Will, because I ain't losing a Double or Nothing. He talks about Page tearing through people like Jeff Jarrett, Christopher Daniels, and his friend Swerve Strickland. Whilst, Page has been off dealing with these issues, Ospreay's been doing his job. He's been doing media calls, meet and greets, taking photos with kids and families. And the best part about it is when the bell rings, he still shows everyone how this is the place where the best wrestle. You might have found your smile, but that doesn't mean cowboy to me. This isn't about your redemption. This is about my ascension, says Osprey. And as they have this intense face-off, oh, bloody hell. Don Callis family are here on the ramp, all of them. You can barely hear Callis. You can hardly get any words out because Detroit hates him.
These Detroit fans were unbelievable.
They were very loud. He says the stupidest day of Will Ospreay's life was when he left the family. And he says, do you even know who's standing next to you? A violent, unstable sociopath who put his mentor in a nursing home. And Ospreay holds Page back by the shirt and says, let's have a bare knuckle fight then. Any two family members against me and him. And Page just slowly goes, get your hands off me. Takes Ospreay's hand away.
So good in light of what Callis said.
Yeah.
Because that guy's still not all the way gone.
You can't just take that as I'm not trying to control you here. I'm just trying to calm you here. Callis says, they can barely get through a segment without wanting to kill each other. And he says, we accept, well, as long as Page doesn't have another mental breakdown before next week.
Good stuff. I thought the segment was terrific. There are two things I want to point out that I'm not so convinced of. Not to get it out the way, but, to kind of get it out the way because I want to praise it. Will Ospreay has been feuding with the Don Callis family since March, pretty much, of last year. Yes, he was still in it at this point, but he's been in a program with the Don Callis family for well over a year. I'm not necessarily bored of it, but it does potentially suggest a lack of imagination that we're looping things ahead of the Moxley stuff. I could maybe do with a break from it, and then I see the match graphic flash up deeper in the show and think, that's going to be tits. That is going to be the absolute tits. But it's worth considering as a criticism because we've been here. It's not particularly inspiring. I don't know, it just feels like it's been going on. It has been going on.
And they're like, he's in the family, he's out of the family, but he owes them a favor or whatever. Yeah.
There is a good and bad version of everything. There is a good version of can they coexist. It does feel like this is a better version of something that has been done to death in pro wrestling to the point where it's become a meme. There's got to be another way of building a big-time match between two baby faces. I would like to see it. I would really like to see it. So those two things together felt a little bit, the match sells itself right on a napkin. It's not even frustrating because the match is going to be great, and it is a little detour before we get to a match of the year candidate. But what's frustrating about it is that I thought Ospreay and Hangman were absolutely electric here in this face-to-face. The tone of it was brilliant. The reason why Ospreay would have a bit of a problem with Hangman Page, despite holding this profound mutual respect and all the rest of it, was excellent. And he picked the absolute best Hangman moment as well.
Yeah.
Like to credibly say, this is why you're the goddamn man. Like everyone has such an unbelievable, cherished memory of that time, of that part of Hangman's story. Hangman himself as well, great. Like, I don't necessarily need him to articulate it because he's so good with his facial expressions and his acting and his in-ring work that you can tell all along what the character's been. He was never going to be a heel forever. And I know that's true of every pro wrestler, but Hangman in particular, we said it all along, job him out as a heel if you want, because the guy's destiny, the guy's heart is as a babyface. This is very much like, you've changed.
He's not a bad wrestler, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like you're not yourself. You are deep down there still a good guy. And I think they've told that story since day one, but we are where we are. What I loved about this is, yes, Hangman Page, people have got this, the AEW fandom have this intense relationship with him. They love him. He's earned all of that love. And he is designated as the main character because once upon a time, 2019, he in fact was meant to be the main character. They built everything around him. You could argue it all came good in 2021, but Kenny Omega in part sacrificed his star power with the ultimate objective of he's the guy for the next 5 years, so we're going to build him starting now. So narratively, he's been cast as the main character. The fans have taken it and he's earned it, and it's not this fake thing. Like, I love the idea of the pillars, but it became very hard to take seriously after a certain point. I love the idea, especially the timing of it. And I still like be faithful to the day oneers. Yes, Punk's here. Yes, Danielson's here, but we're still gonna, you know, love the concept
Ambition was good.
Yeah, it just didn't work. But this Hangman stuff is absolutely real. ... to a point, and I think Osprey made some amazing points as the character, and bled into the personal a little bit as well, which always helps your suspension of disbelief. The Elite don't do media. They've been allergic to it since day one. You look at those pictures when they're schmoozing with Warner and they're doing the publicity shots of we're going to debut on TNT in the fall. We don't even have a name of a show yet, but looking at Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson in that context is where did that go? Can't you do more of it? Hangman Page doesn't really do media off Twitter. I mean that's a good thing.
Yes.
You could argue that some wrestlers get over simply by virtue of not being on it. I mean, it was a huge part of Jon Moxley's appeal when he was at his best.
Tony Storm.
But at the same time, if you're going to be that proper ace figure, the most recent prominent example of which is Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
You're literally the face of the company,
Yeah.
you're the voice of the company. You've got to be entrusted to do that thing. Hangman Page has never really done it. I don't think it's necessarily a case of him not working hard, because look at what he does in the ring. Look at how much detail he puts into his character work, every facial expression, every little tiny detail that will become apparent in a match's time. I'm not saying he doesn't work hard. I do not want to be misinterpreted, but what Osprey was saying was absolutely true. And it's weird. I feel almost like a hypocrite because I've roundly criticized John Cena as the WWE mascot for basically decades at this point, and how, it's called a promo kid, you're going to have to learn how to cut one. John Cena's character is this guy who doesn't hate heels. He just questions people's suitability for replacing him as the face of the company. It's not really fictional after a certain point. But I thought Osprey did a very good version of that, and it's situational. He's not going to do that every single time, is he? They are having a fight basically about who gets to take off Jon Moxley, and there is a responsibility for a world champion. You can't just be the fictional character, the best wrestler who wins the matches. You've got to rep the brand. You do. Just because John Cena mutilated that idea doesn't mean that idea is wrong. I thought Osprey and Hangman were tremendous here. And it was, again, I'm going to let you talk at some point, Hamflett, I'm sorry. Almost a shame they went this rote, can they coexist route, even though it's a pretty good version of it. Because they, struck what this is all about. Note perfect in this face-to-face.
Just reminded me there when you were talking about, I think it was you who told me, actually, about when you read about how ecstatic Daniel Bryan was to lose the world title at WrestleMania 35. Wins it at WrestleMania 30, this amazing moment. He's got to do all the rounds of the media tomorrow. He'll just lose it to Kofi. Well, Kofi,
yeah.
join you in the breakfast shows. See you later.
No, I love this. There was I said it on Raw on Monday as regards to Paul Heyman. I like an exposition dump when it's earned. This was an exposition dump by Hangman Page, but it's because it's a really, really well-told story. And yes, we could highlight those moments along the way, and plenty of people can infer, and plenty of people can sort of see the things as they're happening. But I think there's a time and a place for it. And it was here because, and Will Ospreay crystallized this with a particular line, but for me, this whole promo was about, this revealed the winner. Will Ospreay is going to beat Hangman Page.
I thought that was pretty obvious to begin with.
But this revealed it because when Will Ospreay said, your redemption, my ascension.
Yeah.
Hangman Page was using that exposition dump to talk about everything he'd gone through to get back to this point. Will Ospreay's got his eyes on the prize.
Yes.
Hangman Page can see the prize, but it's way further in the distance because he's still kind of looking back a little bit.
It is, sort of.
But that was really beautifully articulated for a wrestling promo.
We've seen it in it's not to down the sports based field, but we see that in all other sports. People write this, what an amazing story it would be for this to happen. I'm sorry, teams don't care about that, or matches don't care about that. That wouldn't it be a fairy tale ending for this to happen? Well, no, because it's whoever's best on the day, and Will Ospreay has no other distraction. Well, he does with Don Callis, but you know what I mean.
I wanted the segment to end with somebody getting a closing line, to be honest. I don't mind the partners, can they coexist and stuff. I understand the need to set up a match.
We've got 2 more weeks before Double or Nothing of Dynamite.
It felt so real.
And set as well.
It felt so real and set. And a sporting contest. It felt like sport. It really felt like sport. Ospreay's got this. And Hangman Page is telling you why could eventually have it again, but it's Osprey's right now. And I'd love the use of Hangman Page kind of at long last reflecting out loud to kind of catch a, right, we're all back to here now. We're here. This is the real quiz. It's not yet the real quiz. Osprey's got the real quiz. And there was one other point I wanted to make. It was when you were saying about the sport, there was an example I was going to use before you said that. And it's that story that all of Alex Ferguson's players tell about, like, enjoy your beer tonight. And then, like, next season starts tomorrow. And it's like, we just won the treble, mate. Yeah, and that's how we keep winning. Like, the Osprey is wrestling as this guy who, whereas, like, Hangman Page is desperate to get back to that point again, but he's still more in the headspace of somebody that's getting through, like, the stuff that's come before him. Osprey is, like, full steam ahead. And I love that because it's going to play wonderfully into the psychology of the match. And you're going to see Hangman Page's experience seemingly outshine Will Ospreay until Will Ospreay's skill or youth or whatever it is be the thing that ultimately wins out. And what a match down the line that sets up when presumably Will Ospreay is champion. And then Hangman Page, like, remembers this. Like, however long it is, 6 months ago, a year ago, you told me, you were guess who's back there? And guess who was spending all of his time reflecting on being a champion, and now he doesn't have to worry about that.
It's about my ascension now.
Yeah, when Hangman Page has finally shook himself of all of the demons and absolutely everything. It's like, this is not just for the Double or Nothing match, it's for the rematch and the title matches that are to come. And it keeps Hangman Page as the main character as well, because it continues to make it, Will Ospreay will become the world champion, the best wrestler in the company where the best wrestle, but it will remain Hangman Page's domain, and we'll get to watch that play out as well.
Following this, the commentary team run through the show, although they are cut off by FTR and Stokely Hathaway, who are not happy with Tony Schiavone and Nigel McGuinness, I should say. You got an issue with FTR, they ask? Stokely's like, well, FTR issued an apology, but yet, week after week, Tony, you've got something to say about them and me. You call me a snake in the grass, right? Well, you're a decrepit, pasty piece of cheese. Cut off by Tony Schiavone, who gets shoved into his chair by Dax Harwood. And Cash Wheeler's like, hey, calm down, stop being so tense. And just that, like, I hate when people do it, like grabbing someone else by the shoulders who doesn't want it. Hey, calm down, pal. It's about Daniel Garcia. He made his choice, turning his back on us after everything we did for him. And surprise, surprise, guess what show it's going to be on? Tomorrow night on Collision. It's going to hurt us a lot more than it'll hurt Daniel Garcia. But emotionally, that is. And Harwood tells Tony to tell Nigel McGuinness, we'll see you tomorrow. Top guys, out.
Fine. Continuation of what they've been doing. I don't know, it just felt like maintenance booking for these.
I like the jackets. The piping.
Yeah.
I don't like Stokely Hathaway with these.
Really?
Nope. Dax and Cash are feeling it again. Cash especially. Like, Dax, this is the total opposite of the Dax that Sidge hates, the babyface leader of the team. Cash is the quiet little bastard.
Yeah.
Like, Dax is mouthier, but, like, Cash's stuff means a bit more. And I feel like Stokely Hathaway's a promo too far, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure how they've arrived at this. And it's only been a few weeks, so I'm patient.
I know how they've arrived at it. The thought will just be Brainbusters and Heenan.
Yeah. I'm not sure they need it.
They do flirt too heavily with cosplay. It didn't work with Tully. Will it work?
Feels a bit subtraction by addition at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I'd rather see. I'll let it play out. At the minute, I'm not feeling it, but I will, in fact, let it play out. The thing with FTR is they can never seem to help themselves but be FTR for better and for worse. Like, they're already doing, like, they've already done the 2 out of 3 falls thingy with the Paragon.
It's been a month, lads.
It's been a month. 2 out of 3 falls it is. Like, if I can see some, like, just leaner, punchier, less we want to have a great matches out of FTR, 10 minutes of just from where Stokely's on the outside cheating and just
cutting the ring in half.
Yeah. Like, I want to see some proper TV fare.
Like revival matches.
I was going to say, what brought him to the dance wasn't the cosplay, was it?
Yeah, it was Stokely just actually being a heel manager and healing it up on the outside. I'll let it play out, but already it feels like they're still fighting for that 25-minute match on Collision, about which, who cares? Really, who cares? Is the best FTR 25-minute match on Collision this year going to enter someone's top 10? where it might have 4 or 5, 6 years ago. It just isn't. So let's strip everything away, and maybe we'll see that. But
and the legacy of FTR, like you say, is these long, excellent but long matches. Deprive the audience of that until we get presumably the Edge and Christian match. So if they work, let's say sub 10-minute matches from now until I don't know, All In or whatever. Exactly.
It's like proper emphasize the entertainment value, because at the minute, because they're not doing that yet in these matches, Stokely feels like an idea better written down. Integrate him into the act properly, change the complexion of FTR, and then we'll see.
You're right, yeah, in terms of like, you've got two tag teams who should both be having short matches, very different kinds. Hurt Syndicate, squash, kill people, destroy teams, maybe one hope spot in there. FTR isn't a squash, it's just you never feel they're out of control.
Yeah.
They've always just got like, well, it doesn't matter if they...
Got 3 devious minds in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to see them. I sense it with the promos and the segments. I want to see them not be afraid of the heat, and you got to get some of that in your matches.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to be helped as heels, having us all go, man, they're great technical wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid of the heat, because you should be able to trust in yourself. And they're master practitioners of it as well. It is absolutely what brought them there in the very first place. That was what got them noticed. They thought they were doing revival stuff. They weren't. They were just being good old school heels. It wasn't one team in particular they were aping. I'd like to see that. It would give the matches character as well. It takes it away from the good match problem, doesn't it?
Ahead of the women's title eliminator 4-way, Harley Cameron's prepping Anna Jay in the back. Holly says, you had my fat ass last week. Do I have yours? Together they have TNA. Tenacity and aggression, but also tits and ass. And then Anna Jay asks which one of Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, and Toni Storm wants to get to chokes out, and then piggybacks out of shot.
It's fine. It's fine. Harley Cameron, I'm not as charmed by her as a lot of AEW fans, but the point is a lot of AEW fans are charmed by her. And yeah, she's been a bit more of a fitful presence on telly than you'd expect after how incredible she was during the build to Grand Slam Australia. But it's another very basic principle of just any kind of storytelling. If you've got a character that people care about, you feature that character. And they've been doing it. It's the sort of thing that in totality people will start to trust the process more. Like, I'm starting to trust it more if wrestlers who just catch fire are just further integrated into the TV.
Absolutely. Sorry, I got distracted there, Sidge, because a women's match in the first hour.
Who'd have thunk it? Apparently so.
Yeah. So it was, yes, Timeless Toni Storm.
Age and experience, lads, you know.
Huge part for Timeless Toni.
He's the youngest and he's winning, so what does that mean?
I don't f***ing know. Shut up.
It means you're wrong.
I don't give a shit, pal. That's what that means. I'm dying inside.
Oh, there's Mr. Hamflett, Miss America.
Yep. Yes, I do.
Shouldn't have went in the first place.
Wish could be there all the time.
Those gummies were nice, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. Murray brought in some
chemical gummies.
Taste of America.
Taste of chemicals.
You open the
Beaver
packet
nugs and candy.
in like little gummy bears, and you open that packet and it just smells like a paint factory.
Just better over there, isn't it?
Yeah, got some Jolly Ranchers at home. I've been thinking about it since I opened that packet of gummy bears this morning. Going to eat them for lunch.
Yep.
So it was, Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, and Anna Jay in a 4-way AEW Women's title eliminator. Jay and Ford immediately, obviously, brawl to the outside. That leaves Thunder Tits to duke it out. Ford takes out Jay and Storm with a moonsault off the apron, but Rosa dives onto all of them to take us to a break. When we come back,
Eventually.
Jay drops Rosa for 2. Before suplexing Penelope Ford to the floor. That's really tickled me. Ford moonsaults onto all 3 of them. But Storm hits both Jay and Ford with the sweet cheap music. Then Rosa jumps off her back and sort of hits Poetry in Motion. There's a double team suplex attempt, but it's all to delay as Ford fights against it. Megan Bain arrival. She takes out Thunder Rosa and Storm. I thought, oh my God, DQ. And then obviously I remembered... in a multi-person match, no disqualification. So.
Perfectly legal, Cole.
That makes him so exciting.
Bain hits a power bomb to Anna Jay in the middle of the ring. But Harley Cameron comes out with a pipe and attacks Bane, beats her with it in the back. Penelope Ford, I should have mentioned earlier on, there was a shot to Toni Storm where the commentary team asked about her potentially wearing a cup, because in fact it's in here because Ford has Jay in the deathlock and Toni Storm kicks her in the vagina. I think that's the only way of describing it. Puts her in the chicken wing and Ford taps out. Excalibur noting that Storm is 12-0 in title eliminators.
Hopefully that builds to her losing one, and it meaning something. This match was, I would describe it as fine to good. Look, you had a few near falls that I guess were somewhat believable, some good saves, some moments of character. It did a lot for Toni Storm, who got this unbelievable reaction. She's earned that so many times over. Her star power carried this, which elsewhere, you do get action in this sort of format. It's probably better than, Anna Jay versus Toni Storm singles would have been realistically, but not by much. I mean, I was taking the piss there because they were standing up on the outside and Thunder Rosa, and obviously you want to do it safely. Took what felt like a century to the twisting, dive was good.
Yeah, tornado, yeah.
But it was just like what we're doing. It just took forever. And there was another moment where Toni Storm uncharacteristically took a while to do an attack in the corner, and they just had to stand there. There was a lot of telegraphing spots here.
There was that bit with, I was going to say the bit with Meg and Bane. They were both like, right, we're going to bloody double super Penelope Ford's tough to get up when there's two of us. What?
Yeah.
It's for Meg and Bane to come out,
They telegraphed a lot of stuff. I was taken out of the match as a result. And, you've got two wrestlers in here, Anna Jay and Penelope Ford, who every now and then play obvious losers. So there was no drama. Yeah. And it wasn't...
He said as much on the preview yesterday.
Yeah, and when you've got the Bucks in the form that they're in with bodies everywhere, this really paled in comparison.
Good job this went first, really.
Yeah, paled in comparison to some of the action we've seen on Dynamite in recent weeks.
Yeah, I can't really add any more to that. It was just all right, wasn't it? I like watching big stars. Toni Storm.
The human centipede looking spot was pretty funny.
Yeah. Toni Storm, I would have her on TV wrestling every week. She's massive. She's setting herself up with conventions till she's dead, because when she's retired, she's made, and it's so cool watching a wrestler that is made just go out there, and
especially when women's wrestlers have historically, you're out of the way.
It's a graveyard for it, isn't it? Too often. So yeah, I would have her on TV every single week in situations like this, but all the matches can't be 4 stars and above.
I saw a great clip on, Reels or something, of another actor. I can't remember his name, but I recognised his face. He's been in loads of stuff. Who was at one of these conventions with her and sort of sidled over when there was a gap in her queue of people or whatever. I said, I'm a big fan of wrestling. Can you sign something for me? And they got into this whole bit. Basically, it was like, I'm a fellow thespian, and then she signed the thing to a fellow lesbian and stuff, and they were both just laughing about it. And they looked at each other and like, what are we doing? Yeah. And it's just great to see her having such a good time with this gimmick. It's awesome. But I was, as I say, completely thrown by the fact we had a women's match. That's our Sidge. Which means we have to get to the name of the game. Before that, though, the aim of the game.
The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note for the first entrance theme for the first woman to come out and compete for the only women's match on Dynamite. The idea being, not this week, but most weeks, a pattern emerges wherein between 1 hour 20, 1 hour 25, just before the true attraction of the show, you get the one women's match. Why is there only one? It doesn't really feel like a big passion project, doesn't. In fact, if anything, it feels like the opposite of that. It feels like an obligation. It feels like between them, one, the other, maybe both. Tony Khan, AEW, Warner, are thinking it's 2025 or it's 2019, whenever, all the years. We have to put the bloody birds on. Why? The bloody Wokes will kick off. We kind of have to do this for the optics, and it feels like an exercise in optics. Yes, something like Toni Storm doesn't happen if that was as cynical as I'm making out. But there is a cynicism to this. There is a lack of parity, and we will play this game until things improve. And if we can just nail it to the exact hour, minute, and second, as we seek to do on this game, we'll really just italicize, underscore, and put in bold this idea that yeah, there is a cynical bit of market psychology here, because if we just put it before the main event, these fans will think, oh, we've already bloody, watched it this long. Stick around for these bloody birds that we don't want to watch, even though so many of them I want to see more of than so many of the blokes. They'll stick around for the main event. So that's the aim of the game. And you're thinking, right, okay, well, I get it. Could you just jingleize it for me, bro? Could you just jingleize it for me, bro? Sure can. Don't worry, guys. When the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away. That's the aim of the game. And the name of the game is, well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, what a night. Don't know what that was. Good stuff. I never know. But now we must get to our guesses.
Yes.
In descending order.
Ascending? No, never going to learn.
Okay, let's go. Right. Michael Hamflett, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Landlocked Sidgwick, 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 38 seconds. And Adam Wilbourn, as is a tradition, guest.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Way off, because a shout out, as always, to the Panda Blair himself, Adam Blair, at Adam Wilton 4, whose actual, I've just seen his profile picture on Twitter, or whatever it's called, is with the Ladies' Night sign.
Nice.
Which is a lovely, lovely touch. Shout out, as always, as well to Jose Palomares at the Ho 11, the guys who always take care of the
data.
Thank you with this sort of thing. Because this match took place 20 minutes and 32 seconds into AEW Dynamite. A match time of 10 minutes and 52 seconds.
Better than the usual 8.
Which means Michael Hamflett moves on to 3 correct guesses for the year. Michael Sidgwick on 2, myself on 5. Closing the gap, as Panda Blair says. More of this next week for Beach Break. Or unless they put 2 matches on it.
Remember when they did 2 matches and people were saying, oh, is this the
That's
end?
it, yeah. They're like,
no,
well, pack it up, boys.
No, it's an aberration. Just you wait. Just you wait. And you have waited, and I have been proven correct.
You got any like good noises out for Beach Break?
Ooh.
You left a gap there, and I thought there was...
Oh, Beach Break!
Hey, we can't use it for, what was this? Shockwave.
Shockwave.
There you go.
I knew, but I was like, I think we've had this, but Beach Break wasn't last year or something. But yeah.
It was Shockwave. It was oh, an electric eel. I got shocked on when I'm on the waves.
What
but this one
happened
is Beach Break. That's the sound of a bone break.
Break your arm on the beach.
And I was on the beach, next to the beach.
What was the Beach Break where it was like really cold? Was it like in January sometime? Was it Hobbs and Starks?
No, wasn't it Cassidy and Cole?
It was Cassidy and Cole on the beach, and it was somewhere, I can't remember where. This one, I think Voices of Wrestling have done an investigation where it might be the most landlocked beach break yet.
Excellent.
Leave it with me. 1 second, that's the wrong one.
They got weird, Americans have got like a weird relationship with beaches, don't they? Because the country's so massive that you're a long way away from the coast in most bits of it. So they'll be like, it's like the office, Lake Scranton. It's beach day. It's a bit of sand by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
It's not really the beach.
Your oceans are a long way away.
It was, I believe, Beach Break 2022, January of 2022 in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, that was it.
But apparently, like, there are beaches, apparently.
Yeah.
Do you want to run through Dynamite Beach Break January 26th? There was a
Beach
Break Championship Friday as well.
Lights Out, Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy. Which I distinctly remember being, this is just a plunder match.
Danhausen's debut?
Masquerading. Yes, yeah. Masquerading is a Lights Out match, which used to have an aura. Right, okay. So was it January 2022?
Yes.
Still
right.
Good.
Oh, it's still great.
It's still fire.
CM Punk is going to be on the show, I believe.
He was on the poster, I can see, but I can't actually see him in a...
Might have done something with MGF in a verbal segment because it was deep in the guts of that wonderful feud, that feuд. Who's kicking about at the time? Hangman didn't really wrestle much on TV, so I don't think he's on the shoe.
No.
Is there any kind of Bobby Fish? It was Bobby. We were living the Bobby Fish days.
Yeah,
Bobby Fish hours.
I can't see any Bobby Fish.
Lucha Brothers kicking around.
I can't see them either, actually.
No, because Phoenix had just broken his arm on the January 6, 2022 edition when they lost the titles to Jurassic Express.
There was only one more match on this show that went over 10 minutes, by the way.
Jesus. Was Jay Lethal on it?
He was not.
Who did a job then? If not one of them two. Was Takeshita on it? Because he was just starting to make his first appearances.
Not that I can see.
From what was at the time an excursion. Jesus Christ.
Oh boy, sorry, I've just had a flashback to something else. I need to remind me to say something at the end of this.
Was Matt Hardy on it?
Yeah, I've just seen it it was on Rampage, but it was Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus defending the tag titles against Private Party with obviously Matt Hardy and the Blade.
Oh dear. Was Andrade on this?
No.
Mally Black?
No.
Jesus Christ.
Sammy Guevara.
Oh.
And not Sammy Guevara and Jericho, but Sammy Guevara.
It's a ladder match.
Oh, Cody.
Interim champion versus lineal champion.
Cody's last match.
Yep.
The other few are...
Well, give us a wrestler and I'll give an opponent.
Cody's been with WWE longer than he ever was with AEW. That's bad, isn't it?
I'll say this, rather than giving you the wrestler, I'll say there was a 1 minute 20...
For you like it.
Yeah, that's true. I love it.
There was a 1 minute 23 handicap match. Do you want to take a wild guess?
Miro.
No. You're in the right.
Lance Archer.
No.
Because he was building that match against Hanger, if he'd not already had it, actually.
Hobbs.
No, you're in the completely right ballpark here.
Wardlow.
Sean Spears, of course, defeating Elijah Dean and James Alexander. Chris Jericho got himself on this show somehow.
Because it was a themed edition of Dynamite. He was wrestling... Ooh. Was it Ortiz, hair versus hair?
No.
That match was unbelievable.
Ortiz was teamed with him in a 6-man tag.
Last days of the Inner Circle.
Yes.
So was it against...
friggin' Men of the Year?
No.
Dan Lambert or whatever. Them lot.
So Jericho and Ortiz.
And...
Santana.
Yeah.
Jurassic Express again?
No.
Would have been baby faces, weren't they? In a circle at the end.
No, because they were just about... He was feuding with Eddie Kingston. But maybe he turned heel during that?
Couple of our favourites from early days of NXT.
2.0, Everrise.
And Daniel Garcia.
And just the one women's match.
That's quite cute ahead of what was to come with the JAS, that.
Yeah. Shida?
Nope.
Nyla Rose?
Nope.
Riho?
Nope.
Baker?
Nope.
Thunder Rosa?
Nope.
Serena Deeb?
Nope.
Tony Storm?
Nope.
Hadn't debuted yet.
Do you want a big clue?
Yes.
And God bless the United States.
Legit Layla Hirsch versus Chris Statlander?
No.
Red Velvet?
8 minutes and 8 seconds for the main event. Also on the show, on the Rampage show, John Moxley defeated Anthony Bowens. FTR defeated the Nightmare Family. That's Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson, of course.
That match was good, I remember. That match was real good. And that was ahead of FTR really finding form. Really finding form. So don't take the piss.
No, just... it was a 5-star match here for Cody and Sammy. And also on Rampage, Jade Cargill defeated Julia Hart for the TBS title in 2 minutes and 28 seconds.
Which he did.
0.25 Rampage did. That's very impressive.
Gone to those days.
different
time. We were getting 5 million on Max, so it doesn't really matter.
Back to AEW Dynamite, though, and the crew, my guys, are there in the crowd getting ready because out comes the tag team champions, the Hurt Syndicate. MVP has an official announcement. He's there with the standard of excellence, Benjamin Shelton, some people, and the almighty Bobby Lashley. They're the tag team champions, but I thought this was meant to be the best wrestler. Who's going to step up? We like to hurt people. Who's going to hurt us? And Top Flight answer the challenge. The crew do not look impressed by this.
Neither did I.
They've been a little bit down on their luck lately, says Darius. But they see this challenge as an opportunity for them. MVP's like, cool, so you want to be hurt next? Darius says, yes, we always get beat up, but we won't die. with the underdogs.
Yeah, we suck, but we'll try again.
No one's got their money on us. But we
Yeah, how low's the bar? Living.
It's pretty, pretty low, isn't it?
I'll die. Worth more than that.
But we've proven we can hold our own against, champions before. Motor City, he wants to see a miracle. Right, but before that can happen, MJF comes out in a white vest, obviously, for what's about to happen, ambushes both of them, beats them down, chucks, I think it was Darius, into the ring post, punches Dante, bites Darius. They've both been slightly busted open. There's an apron powerbomb on Dante. He's yelling at Bob, and he's smearing some of the blood on his shirt, and he just grabs the mic and yells, "I hurt people!" And Bob smiles, eventually, taking the mic, and say he's going to have an answer for him next week. And MJF leaves with his ring.
All kinds of weird, all kinds of weird. I'm not saying anything as drastic as losing faith in this storyline. I think it's great. I think they've got a real good plan. You can tell, like, they don't have visibly this much fun playing all this and performing all this if they don't think, oh, we've got something here. Bit of a misstep for me personally. Because, my God, like, here's the thing with Top Flight. If you were watching this segment play out in a company that you didn't trust anymore, and I do trust AEW right now, I really do, you'd think, what are we doing? But what's lost here? So Top Flight come out, and instantly I'm resentful because they've just, their last AEW match, they've done a job to the crew. They lost to the crew. So they come out and like, well, we're but we're going to try, and, stranger things have happened than us winning a match, so on that basis, let's have a title shot or a shot at a title shot. I'm thinking, what, you are complete and utter loser geeks here. Total and utter losers. And what's worse is you're deluded and you haven't earned this opportunity. Even at an open challenge, you're probably low on that list. And then MJF from behind, yes, kicks both their asses by himself. This is, by some distance, the worst night in the history of Top Flight's life or career. Like, they couldn't have been cast as geeks anymore. But at the same time, right, and this doesn't do them any help whatsoever in storylines, but what's spoiling here? Part of me thought, good. Have them sink to a lowest ebb. Have them two sink to a low ebb, because maybe they'll start to want it more. Maybe they'll go home, right, and become harsher in my old age, right? In terms of, when you're young, you're a bit more naive, and yes, it helps that Vince is in charge, and oh my God, all these poor wrestlers, they could all become megastars if it wasn't for, the general WWE of it all. I've become a lot more, go on, I can't all be the booker. Just show us something. Show me something. Get yourself over. That's what this business is, ultimately, at the end of the day. Maybe they'll go home after this disastrous night where they are humiliated and beaten down and think, something needs to change, we need to work harder, or we need to come up with a gimmick. Yeah,
no one's looking at this and thinking, well, when they come back, Hurt Syndicate are in real trouble.
You know what I mean?
They don't think MJF's in trouble. Nobody's watching this thinking about that come up and smooth.
Yeah, they don't strike me as guys who want it, who really, truly want it, who, I'd rather you had a load of rubbish ideas to get over than you're there sometimes, and then sometimes you're not.
Look at the crew. Look at their lovely jackets.
That's something. Yeah, it's made an impression on you.
That's been Jericho's MO, for better and worse, for his entire career.
Absolutely.
A gazillion ideas.
Yeah,
It only takes one hit out of the 20 bad
absolutely.
ones.
Like, they are at least showing me something. Action Andretti had written off a long time ago. I quite like this new heel character. It's possible to just be a nobody and then get over again. I mean, I'm not saying they're over, but they're on the way. They're doing something. This might be a good night for Top Flight, who've shown promise, but how many times have we said this story about an AEW wrestler? The show promise. 5 years later, what are we doing? What are we actually doing here? So maybe it's for their own good that they were absolutely humiliated. It just, nothing came off here. It was a weird idea. MJF, in the right moment, can look like this sadistic little bastard who can, in fact, hurt people. And that's what they were obviously going for. The guy who bloodied up CM Punk, right? The guy who when pushed to his absolute limit, and he kind of has to, can effectively, incredibly portray a violent person. We've seen it, and I've bought it before. Just nothing went right, really, in this segment. Like, they couldn't get the blade. It's like, just slash your head out.
Yeah.
You know, go deep if you need to. This is television, and we're live, pal. There was not enough blood.
Yes.
It didn't have that visual effect of, oh, God, I forgot this MJF. You know, that was what you were meant to think. I forgot this MJF. You can't actually do this. I've seen it before. There wasn't anywhere near enough bloodshed for that to happen. I will say that the apron powerbomb looked awesome.
Yeah.
So that helped. But then it's one of those things where if every night, it's weird how fate conspires to do things. On any night for Bobby Lashley's mic to just crap out and I can barely hear what he says. It's like, of course it's that night. When it was a night where... a segment where I was like, oh, God, everything kind of went a bit wrong. But again, this wider thing, I'm still in love with it. I still think you do not have that glint in the eye if you don't have a great plan. Faith not dented whatsoever. This wasn't great TV.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The pieces are in place, though. Like, they've got a really, really intriguing sales pitch for next week. Like, the simple act of will Bobby Lashley accept him is worth selling as a major event on next week's show. And they had to do the last bit of MJF almost stubbornly forcing him to accept him, because if and when he doesn't, MJF reveals that he had some sort of evil plan all along, or Bobby Lashley does accept him, and MJF's like, great, go away, evil plan, I've got it. Like, you know, it's whichever version
Don
you get.
Callis' painting of Jericho, whatever
But
it was.
the good version.
Oh, that was horrendous, that. Bloody hell.
The good version.
Yes.
It's MJF's own homework. It's the reveal of the pinnacle, like with the inner circle. Like something along those lines, or however they're going to Sidge's point, that everybody feels locked into. They know what the ending looks like, so they can perform these weeks, even when things are feeling like they're going a bit wrong on one week, with the confidence of almost like they can't wait to get to the payoff because they know that it's strong and it stands up.
Excalibur then throws to the Young Bucks, the Elite, I should say, Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada backstage. They scold him for not being more enthusiastic for throwing to them. They're UVPs, of course. And Okada tells Kevin Knight to have a good night, bitch. Ricochet walks in. It's the six-man was his idea because the Bucks have got a swerve problem, of course. And Ricochet's got his number, a bit like Mike Bailey. Follow my lead and we'll be on our way to victory.
Cleaner, I got this.
Yeah.
And the Bucks go into their locker room, which, by the way, those rooms in the back, the doors and stuff looked majestic.
Oh, my God, that entire venue was beautiful.
And they walk into their locker room, but it's dark. It's got the Death Riders in there.
Right, okay. Thumbs down. Thumbs down.
And they...
What they do for 2 hours?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
So miserable.
I was going to say this, right? So, when I talk about the 6 months, even, right, rose-tinted glasses, the halcyon days of AEW, even in 2021, they were doing segments, like interruption segments were way more frequent then than they are now. They were doing, like, the people who did the interrupting in the backstage segments were doing the interrupting. So maybe this is just part of that chintzy AEW does rubbish backstage stuff that's just never, ever going to go away. But as you point out, what if the Bucks were like, they were obviously going to go in the locker room to get changed for the match at some point, but what if, like, they were just, what if they just got changed early, went to catering, it's like, do we need to go back to the locker room now? Let's hit the ring. Death Rider's going to be sat there the entire time. It's like, do we look intimidating enough here? I don't know, Wheeler. Should we turn down the lights a little bit more? Yeah. Now do we look hard enough?
Cleaner looks at the cleaner, the actual shoot cleaner of the venue looks in and goes, there's no lights on in there, I guess I can lock up.
No.
There's someone in here, sorry, we're trying to do it for effect.
Wheeler asking Moxley, what if nobody comes in, John? Shut up, Wheeler.
Shut up, you pew.
There is no plan.
John, can I go to the toilet? Okay, but don't flush because that'd give away that we're in this room.
Yeah. If you flush the toilet, it's just...
They're in a room that stinks of piss and
Yeah.
It's part of the plan.
Yeah. If anything, it adds to the whole we're unpleasant to be around. But I just love the idea of, like, them just going in. It's like, well, hang on, it's too light in here. We don't look hard and tough.
Yeah.
Turn the lights down. Okay. Is that enough?
There's no dimmer switch, right? Unscrew some of the light bulbs.
Yeah. Well, have you got any red light bulbs? So, you got any red light bulbs? Because it looks like we're from hell. Demons from hell.
Can I go on my phone, John?
No, but start lighting up, Wheeler, you stupid. So obviously the answer is no, Wheeler. You can't go on your phone.
Opens up a game on his phone and makes loads of noise.
We're in silence. It's like, what if they've been there for like half an hour and like it's getting real awkward? And Wheeler's like, did you catch the NBA's? The playoffs are really good. I don't give a shit about basketball, asshole. We're wrestlers and we're really tough. Stop doing it. What you do when you create these segments and film and produce these segments, and that really you are watching a TV show way, you just invite dickheads like us to take the piss out of it.
We take the piss out of the clubhouse for this. It's ridiculous. Yeah. This traveling.
At least the WWE Judgment Day is a self-aware.
Yeah.
They are kind of losers who think they're devious.
How did you find us? Oh, Trees just told me.
Yeah. This is like the lack of
purple lighting.
Just what goes through John Moxley's head these days? He's got to be thinking, they'll take the piss out of this. Like, you shouldn't do everything in reaction to things. Like, I used to write in reaction a couple of years ago. Like, looks like AEW actually is good. No, don't do things in such a reactionary way. But at the same time, John Moxley could stand to start asking himself, does this make me look like a complete loser? Does this make me look like I'm trying way too hard to be hard? Yes, okay, well, let's figure out another way.
Yeah. I never want to leave this room and your impressions of people in there, by the way. But quick question. Do you think, he's a cat burglar, obviously.
He's a cat burglar.
So did he pick the lock to get into their locker room, or did they just wait? And Wheeler, you would be like, I think it's a cleaner down the hall. Hi, sir. We're part of the Death Riders, and we kind of want to have a secret meeting.
Beat him up.
He says he hasn't got that set of keys, so he's just got for the.
What if they've been lurking? What if they've been lurking around the corner, and then like the elite are like, right, what's the game plan? What's the strategy for this match tonight? Excellent. Okay, should we grab a bite to eat? Get some carbs. Get some pasta or something, to give us energy for the big match. Yeah. So they leave, and Wheeler, it's just like lurking in the corridor, and as the door's just about to shut, you throw something, like a T-shirt at the door so it doesn't close, and then they go, right, we've got our way in. Now we can go in, right? Okay, well, we're in the room. I'll turn the bloody lights on. Lights down low. I want to look intimidating and surly. It's pathetic.
He's allowed them to have some food, but like you, it goes back half an hour later. There's just total silence. Then you breaks it with the little ice cubes at the bottom. Do it.
Let us know on the comments of the YouTube or on X for the audio listeners if you watched Dynamite, and just watched the Young Bucks go back into their dressing room and see John Moxley looking dour with the lights turned low. Did a single one of you think, Christ almighty, it's Atsushi Anita in the Tokyo Dome on the chair, getting pelted with garbage, having a tab, just looking cool and unbothered? Did anyone think, God, they're cool? Did anyone?
I want one more because I've thought of it as you were talking about with the throwing the T-shirt. Whatever they get in the room, they'll set up. I'll sit here. There's no other doors, is there? Because I don't want to come in through this. Right, and they're all there. Okay, and either the Young Bucks just open the door and then immediately chuck their bags in, don't even look, shut the door again. And Mox is like, or door opens and Mox is like, well, gentlemen, looks like we have something to discuss. Sorry, love, I'm just the cleaner. I don't know, I was in here because lights were off. Actually,
we're actually trying to have a conversation. Get the out.
That's literally throwing your bags. Well, oh, bloody hell! Hold on, smashes him in the face.
Well, I'll go.
It's 12 o'clock, John. Shut up, Wheeler. Shut up.
Oh, God.
Can we leave? No.
Like, remember that board? Remember that AEW All Access? And it was like a bit revealing because it was like Tony Khan this way, Chris Jericho this way, CM Punk this way. Everybody else that way. Like, three people get their own rooms there. It's like all the fucking losers go over there. Right down the bottom. Secret Death Riders meeting.
You know what? They just changed the rooms before they got there really early to make sure they're proper sinister. And it's one of the people outside. Yeah, copy that. I just changed the locker room, so it's not the elite locker room now. They're swapping that for to make sure that I don't know the ops are going to be in this room. What? What they saying?
What?
Oh, sorry.
What's the secret word?
Oh.
The secret password you're not allowed in the Death Rider's room. It's not the secret word.
Intensity.
Volcan.
Bleach.
Volcan. Library. Because I've got to say super silent, and that's where John Moxley got up to real mischief back in the day.
Yeah. Pride, because the
Pride.
MMA in there. Pancrase, good, get in.
Barnett.
Right, then we got...
So I'm still laughing at, they got it really early because it's super sinister, like. First one's in the building. And then outside a massive arena, and it's, John, it's locked. Get in the fan wheeler.
Can I take my hoodie off? I'm really warm.
Claudio's wearing like high vis. Try and get in. Told you we were going to need lanyards.
He's really tired for the main event. I've been up for ages.
John? Yes, Claudio.
What's it now?
I need to get out. Why? It's because, I need to dim the lights on my on the elevator there for my entrance. Okay, I'll just open the door. Oh, quick, the Young Bucks are coming. Cheese it.
What is it now, Claudio? I just wanted to, is it on the agenda? Well, no, John, I didn't have a chance. You had me up at 6 o'clock.
Didn't
If it's not on the
get an agenda.
Is it in any other business?
I think I like the Death Riders now. Actually, I've changed my mind.
Admin with the Death Riders.
Ooh, get an agenda.
So then we got the ROH TV title match. It was Nick Wayne who made his entrance, then immediately got cut off by Christian Cage, who was flanked obviously by Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne's Miles. Gotta go, you know what I mean? And Nick is gonna wrestle someone from Cage's past. Rhino!
The hell was this?
Huge pop. Cage sort of smirking about all this as Rhino makes his entrance.
Hey, everybody, Rhino! Go f*** yourself, it's still Rhino!
And then
Massive pop.
And then he got squashed by Nick Wayne in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Wayne uses his speed early. Missile drop kick, puts the boots to him, gets far too cocky, misses a standing moonsault. They mention on commentary he's heading to the Best of Super Juniors tournament tomorrow in Japan.
I could train a Rhino. What a good... it's like playing... It's like, right, okay. You're going... Like, why would you... You're going to the Best of the Super Juniors. Right, okay, you might want to start, like, doing some scouting. Like, if you're going to have a tune-up match for the Best of Super Juniors, I don't know, maybe you get Jalistico or something like that. The Man Beast. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, it's not very good homework.
We've got Barcelona in the Champions League final. That's why we're playing Wigan Warriors in the week. Anyway, Rhino hits a belly to belly.
Has worked for AEW before? Is there anywhere for me to change? Yeah, try a little office down the hall.
No, don't go in here. It's busy. Occupied.
Occupado. Is that Willie Eater?
Wait a second. Occupied.
That's definitely Moxley.
Anyway, Sagan distracts the ref.
Don't flush, it'll make a noise. Stinks in age.
What you mean?
Claudio, I'm
was
drinking
it?
coffee on one.
What was the Sugar Puffs? You had Sugar Puffs?
Oh, God.
Cage trips up Rhino. Wayne gets hit with a
Not even in the second hour yet.
Wayne hits a spine buster. No, Wayne gets hit with a spine buster. Rhino goes to the gore. Nick Wayne sidesteps and hits the kill switch for the 1-2-3. And Cage throws the title down instead of putting it around his waist.
It's gone real crap, this Christian Cage stuff.
Oh, God, I've not been on board with whatever Christian Cage has been doing since at least the middle of last year.
Just done, innit?
It's done. Right. Let's let it go. I just don't know what we're doing here really with him. This was just so weirdly conceived. I know what the idea is. Nick Wayne, the little bastard, beats the oversized hometown hero. It was just like a weirdly, intentionally deflating. What else did you expect to happen? Like Rhino didn't even like. If you're gonna do this, just let him gore someone.
Yeah.
Just let him gore someone on ROH, because now by the time he's on ROH, I've already seen him get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Just spectacularly ill-conceived.
This is when we saw the promo from Roosh after that 4-way on Collision, saying that basically Kevin Knight cost him the match and the $100,000, and he's going to make him pay in blood if you mess with the bull. You got the horns, everyone.
People have died.
Cool.
And then we got the 6-man, Swerve Strickland, Mark Briscoe.
Preemptive.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Speedball Mike Bailey and Ricochet versus Ricochet and the Young Bucks. Ricochet's keen to start until he realizes Swerve's in there with him, and Bucks are just like, tough tits, mate. And Swerve kicks his ass. There's a nice flying Hurricane Rana from Briscoe and Bailey. Bailey just batters Ricochet.
And that was in the bit of the match where it's not even amazing yet.
Yeah, just a casual start off. The Bucks tripped up Bailey to allow them to take over. They hit stereo. Sorry,
it's okay.
That's the way it's written out. Stereo slingshot sentons. But during their posing, after Ricochet hit a senton of his own, the babyfaces recover, and Ricochet's like, "Don't worry, guys, we'll all get back in together." Nope. Again, Ricochet gets pump kicked to fall onto the Bucks, and there's dives from Strickland and Briscoe, and Ricochet gets battered by Redneck Kung Fu and Taekwondo from Briscoe and Bailey. But Swerve gets caught with a slingshot facebuster. Briscoe hit a moonsault off the apron. Bailey gets draped over the top, and the Bucks hit a double stomp, bounce back powerbomb combo. Huge dive from Matthew Jackson onto Briscoe. Slingshot 450 by Ricochet. A hell of a way to take us to commercial. Crowd just losing their mind at all this. Briscoe gets battered during the break. Finally gets over to Bailey, who hits some kicks. There's a running shooting star on Matthew Jackson, twisting Falcon Arrow. But it all breaks down eventually after Bailey rolled through a shooting star off the top and hit collision course for a near fall. Everyone hits something bonkers. Swerve hit Ricochet with a house call. Nicholas ran in with a destroyer. Swerve sort of no-sells it and hits a house call for the reset. Briscoe fights out of trouble, brings Bailey in. The Bucks went for a double super kick on Bailey, who got rid of them. And Bailey takes out the Bucks and hits a gritty. Swerve Strickland does when he comes in. There's a double suplex on the Bucks. A springboard Hurricane Rana. But Swerve held on and hit a spinning power slam. Briscoe hit a rolling DVD on Matthew. Bailey hit a backflip double knees. Briscoe connected on a froggy bow, but Nicholas dives in the last second to break up the pin.
I thought that was the finish.
Me too. Briscoe hit a blockbuster off the apron. Bailey hit the golden triangle onto Ricochet, and Swerve looks like he's got the match won, but Matthews out of nowhere, small packages in for the flash pin. He can't believe it. And the heels leg it. They can't believe what they've managed to do. No one can.
The weekly Young Bucks match where you completely lose your mind at how awesome it is. I mean, there's very little to add really to the fact that it's less about the moves and the specifics. It's just the feel, the layout. How do they keep doing this? How is it still? And as me and Hamflett were talking about this over the desk, it is the quintessential essence of PWG. How have you not worked out the tricks yet? Because they've got so many of them. An infinite, like, this is the thing, right? This is the best way I can describe how great they are, how great they've pretty much always been the entire, like, careers once they first reached prominence. They have, and I really just want to, again, set up the sentence because it's so impressive. The Young Bucks have an infinite amount of ways to make you lose your mind. What they do and what they are doing and what they'll probably continue to do in a few years at least should be impossible. They have an infinite amount of ways to lose your mind. And it's so impressive considering their act has been completely cannibalized. The idea of a party match, the idea of a great match, the idea of a great long match on free T every goddamn week has just been, when we've kind of lost patience with it. And yet, there's excess. They'll find a way to do more excess. An infinite amount of ways to make you lose your mind, and it's just a guarantee of tearing the house down every single week. They're amazing. Everybody else in this match was amazing. Like Mark Briscoe did this back body drop onto his feet, and I'm thinking even he's doing PWG. Like the ROH mainstay, and I know they did PWG as well, but like it's just even he's doing that PWG style. My goddamn goodness. And I loved the finish. I can't tell you how much I love this finish so much. I loved how bold it was to beat Swerve. We should stop trivializing it. And if you don't know, so Dave Meltzer typoed Swerve Strickland as Swerve Strickland. I'm going to start calling this. It's really funny. But
Makes me think of Dwigged in that Office episode.
Yeah.
The one typo.
I'm just going to call him Swerve because I don't want to trivialize a guy this cool.
Yes.
I loved beating him like this for 2 reasons. 1, did not expect it. But 3, 1, absolutely did not expect it. 2, the Young Bucks have got him again. This will strengthen his resolve to go buck hunting and kick their ass.
Yeah.
They need to juice up the idea of, they'll probably be on the same match at Anarchy in the Arena, and they'll do something together at All In. You want the Bucks to just beat him, because then it's like, it's impressive when he beats them back. I love the way Nicholas Jackson sold it. Like, we got him. I know we think a lot of ourselves, but we got him. We beat Swerve. And the fact that it registered as such a monumental shock made you realize, my God, how many people believe in him, how well he's been booked, and how he's been portrayed as this superstar within AEW, because it was like, oh, you beat him. If you can get people to think you've beat them, then them automatically in defeat becomes a bigger star in your head. Majestic booking this.
Yeah.
That only works if you've done majestic booking with Swerve for like 2 years.
Any time it could be questioned, and it doesn't really happen anymore, but any time it could be questioned if like Swerve is a made man, is revealed in a moment like this. I think you're seeing it with something like the Bobby Lashley defeat as well. Like what's just happened is that like Swerve just used his rub to help this 20-year veteran get over in a new place. Like me and Sidgwick were talking about this. Like the Young Bucks here for me, this feels, it's dark arts really, but this feels different to like a style that I wasn't really a fan of. And I always think of 2019, but it probably extends into certain other aspects of AEW's in-ring over the years. I always felt what they were trying to do, and I understand why, in 2019 was like AEW presents PWG, which is like, right, we're on big telly now. Like, what can we do that resembles those days and give like whether it was like smoothing the edges, I don't know, but like give them the energy, but it's different now. It's big time. It's whatever. They've kind of cut out the middleman. Like, and I don't know if it's the presence of Ricochet with them, who was part of that, or someone like a Speedball, who even when he wasn't part of that, like his work resembles, and the DNA of PWG's and how Speedball works.
And he was there,
and he was there for it. This is just straight up Reseda, like uncut, undiluted Reseda action that these Young Bucks matches are. Like the energy that they are throwing it, and there's like and maybe it's like down to a wrestler fitness thing. I don't know, I've never taken a bump in my life. But like,
why did they wear the waistcoats when you've got the abs? Take those off, boys.
They're so fast at the moment, though.
Pop those shirts off.
So fast. Like it's that. Like I remember, like one of the first times I was like truly, genuinely surprised by the Young Bucks was the first time I ever saw that spot where like it's sort of like a sequence of sort of like 3 dives in a row. So like they'll hit like a double DDT, then move to the apron, then do the assignment sort of, and then run back in and do one last dive. It's like, where have you got the cardio for that third dive? They're doing them again. Yeah. And this is like 10 years on from the first time you've seen it and like screamed at it. And then like, because of there being multi-man matches, they do one of them and it immediately feeds into somebody else doing a spot so you don't have time to catch your breath. And I think that's the PWG energy that like I never really saw in the straight up tags or in the. Should we do a bit of what we used to do?
There was a lot of this in 2021 as well.
Yeah,
a lot of this.
I'm liking who they're working with. I feel like the Anarchy in the Arena and the Blood and Guts, if we're even doing that, has potential. Again, like I'm excited about those multi-mans rather than sort of dreading the summer of it, you know, which is again another sales. It's what we said at the start of the review. The sales pitch of the stuff to come is as exciting as the stuff you're already watching.
The Young Bucks have spent their entire, what amounts to the entirety of their career, trolling people, taking the piss, proving people wrong, defiant. It's just so impressive and ironic as well that they have taken the style that everyone says, oh, you'll burn the crowd out on that. Oh, it's too excessive. If you do too much of that, everyone will get bored and tired. The ultimate big you is, no, they won't. Yeah. No, they won't. Look at what we do and how good we are. They're the best. They are the best.
Renee's backstage with Will Osprey, asking about his tag match next week with Hangman Page. But before he can say anything, in comes MJF to shill for his beautiful diamond ring, which is available at awshop.com. Will thinks he knows what he wants, but MJF says, look, no, I want you to win the Owen and then win the world title at All In so I can take it from the little British baby. And Will's like, well, it's so easy. Why don't you get into the Owen? Oh, because you didn't want to wrestle me again because last time I did, I dropped you on your head. MJF fires back by saying, you're the reason they put instructions on shampoo bottles. You're not on the level of the devil. And Will says, no, I'm not. I'm on another level.
This is good building block stuff. They are very much teasing MGF interfering at the expense of one of these dudes because he's interacted with both Hangman and now Osprey in recent weeks. It was just, sometimes wrestling is really stupid and I hate and love it. I love how it's like a catchphrase off. It's like, well, if you think about it, my catchphrase is actually one more than yours. It's like, that doesn't really mean anything.
Yes.
Different level, but I'm on my level with the devil, but yeah, but on a different level. It's like, I love you both, but neither of what you're saying is making any real sense here. Doesn't prove anything.
Yeah.
Funny though, funny.
And it's like they're in the ring, it was like a sound guy has played their music, so they've won. Like, that's always like that.
In a sense, they're 1-1.
Yeah.
They are 1-1, so the catchphrase off at the end was like, oh no, I'm better. Maybe it does make sense. It's just wrestling's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why my wrestler catchphrase is going to be, and that's why I'm the best. No backsies. Because then can't win then, can you? I'm +1 on whatever you said, so infinity +1. Renee Paquette. I'm out. Renee Paquette is backstage with a sit-down interview. We did Mercedes. Sorry, where are my manners? Mercedes.
Money.
That was last week. This week it's Jamie Hayter and talking about Mercedes and the Owen Hart Cup final. She says this means more to her than it does for Mercedes, who talked a lot of nonsense last week. Mercedes is the exact opposite of what Owen, the man, stood for. She can't allow it. She wants to know the real money, not the cheap, plastic, arrogant woman we see. Renee said, well, to be fair, last week she said, you kind of remind her of herself. Hayter's like, well, that's insulting. You ran away. Mercedes ran away last week like she owed me money. Look, I don't have her resume, but I have grit and truth. This isn't about gold or glory. It's about showing that she isn't untouchable. She's not the second coming. Renee Paquette obviously brings up Jamie Hayter's long-time injury. But Jamie cuts her off, saying, look, Mercedes is looking past me. She's not paying attention to me, and that's why I'm going to win the Owen Cup. But in flies Mercedes into shot and attacks her, and they brawl from the interview section through the crowd. But once they're out there, Jamie Hayter nails her, gets in a few shots, and Mercedes just bails out of there. So Hayter looks to the camera and goes to say something until she's jumped from behind by Mercedes, who puts her in the statement maker until she gets pulled off by referees. And Mercedes stands next to the Owen Cup and smiles as Jamie Hayter sells her back.
This is all good. I like the idea of the angle. The execution was good. I like the Hayter raid, duck, runaway. Lots of intent there, lots of fear, loads of showing ass. Very, very good. Jamie Hayter, who I think is great, and I'm really glad that she's getting back into form and prominence and all the rest of it. Her promos feel a bit practiced to me. I get the feeling she spends a lot of time on them, as you would when you have so few opportunities to talk, and you would, and it just feels like maybe she's trying too hard. It just feels a bit practiced to me. I don't really blame her, but that's the feeling I get.
I thought the sit-down it felt overwritten to me. But I'm glad they did it, because this was the point I wanted to make. Of all the times to have like a broad break into an interview segment and then where it went, them like fighting on that little balcony bit before they found their way to the aisle was just such wonderful use of this venue. Like, they felt alive. It's like,
that's what you should do when you're in venues like this.
Yeah. Like, the sit-down interview is not this it looks like a pre-recorded thing we've seen a million times, but watch how all of a sudden this whole thing opens up. I loved, like, that felt really alive, but it elevated this, because I wasn't really into the sit-down. I don't think still AEW and Jamie Hayter know exactly what this Jamie Hayter character is. No. From comeback to now, you can't elevate a pitch this Jamie Hayter character. Is it a recover from injury? Is it kind of the hardest one in the division? Too cool for the division? I don't think they really know. No. I know more from her attempting and missing and swinging for the fences like you'd like, Sidge, for the haterade, than anything that's been getting said. And that's ultimately what's going to matter on the night. I think this match is going to bang. I cannot wait for it. They've obviously got good physical chemistry, but that was the good stuff, not so much the talking.
Alicia Ortiz backstage with Willow Nightingale, talking about her problems with the Death Riders. She wants to be the first to put her fist in their faces when Stat walks in. And Willow says, I know you're sorry, but are you just feeling remorseful after losing your spot in the Owen? Don't forget, I could have won the Owen last year if it hadn't been for you. And Nightingale stops Stat from leaving and says, look, if you want to sort things out, let's have a bare knuckle fight on Collision. And they shake hands.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic, this. Haven't they already established Chris Statlander basically saying the heel turn didn't work, let's just forget about it? They've already done that. So I think it's just an excuse to get them both on TV, which ain't no bad thing, but come up with a really good reason for them to be on TV because they've really earned it. Stat in particular for me.
Another title eliminator next, this time for the Continental title, Kazuchika Okada versus Kevin Knight. But as we alluded to earlier, Roosh has got a problem with Knight and he attacked him from behind. Jalistico was just there, I'm just watching. Roosh gets...
No, he's not watching though, isn't he?
No, he's
thinking.
He's calculating. He's probably the brains of the operation, if
he's
anything.
doing some calculations. He's playing some old mental chess.
Yeah. You don't know what I'm going to do next, and neither do I. Roosh gets rid of security and chokes out Knight with a cable. Mike Bailey runs in to make the save. And yeah, Roosh just smirks. I love Roosh. He's great. Knight's dead, but referee Aubrey's like, do you want to go? And he's like, yeah, I still want to. And Okada's face is like, great, fantastic.
Great and funny.
Yeah. Spikes Knight with a DDT straight away. But Knight fights back, gets some roll-ups. But Okada's like, right, okay, put you away. Hits him with a flapjack. Okada turns him around as he goes for a monkey flip and hits his drop kick to send Knight tumbling to the outside as we go to a break. When we come back...
Sold that brilliantly, like still trying to hang on.
Knight hits a sky high for a near fall when we come back. Okada's just, what he's still doing here, basically. He hits a standing Hurricane Rana and a follow-up splash, a leaping follow-up splash for 2. Tries for a DDT, but Okada counters into an air raid crash on the knee. He hits his top rope elbow. Okada flips off the crowd. Still, Knight gets a couple of roll-ups in there. Gets a drop kick, but then Okada just nails him, drop kicks him out of the air, hits the Rainmaker and gets the 1, 2, 3, hits a couple more until Mike Bailey has to make the save.
This is the match I expected it to be, and it turned into something that I really was taken by and enjoyed. I mean, how can you not pop? Like, I went nuts in my living room when, to counter the Rainmaker, Knight jumped over it.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. I was like, oh my God. And then, that usual, like that backslide, panicked Okada going to lose. Even when he's like, this wasn't his, most committed in-ring performance ever. He is literally effortlessly genius at times. And those times are usually in the last 2 minutes of a 3-star match that turns into a 3.5. That's what happens. Yep. So I did end up having a really good time with this. I will say that they could have got way more out of that. Okada doing a drop kick. No, wait until you see Kevin Knight's drop kick. I don't think that spot was inserted into the match at a particularly great point, because I think they could have got so much out of that. I think that could have informed the idea of, maybe Kevin Knight will win in the eliminator, but he jumped over a Rainmaker, put an extra star on it for that.
Bit of old AEW this to me, because it was like, when they used to have the MJF thing about how he just
old AEW, 2023, 2024 AEW, I reckon Kevin Knight would have disappeared by now.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about old.
No, I just wanted to make
most
that point
recent
as well.
Yeah, the project is going great. The Kevin Knight sort of story thus far. When MJF would just wrestle on TV and he would want it to be as quick as possible, and he'd the whole character was, I wrestle for money and this is a necessity because there's rankings or whatever.
Do my minimum obligation.
Yeah,
they don't pay you by the hour, do you know.
This is quite an inventive way to use the lazy bastard era. I thought I was like, well, if we're going to have this version of him, then this is probably the way to promote him and present him. So I quite like that.
The Don Callis family's backstage. Callis brings up the Outrunners, challenging Rocky Romero and Beretta. Tells them to find 2 more partners to face the entire Callis family, so the Callis family can kick their asses like it's 1983. Carl Fletcher's arms are big. That's what I noted from This, and the Hurt Syndicate, on the advice of their legal counsel, will answer MJF next week. Then we got to the main event in the evening. It was Samoa Joe versus Claudio Castagnoli, who'd come from the sinister locker room to be hit with Joe's Gonna Kill You chants, which Joe conducts.
I think his contract have like a light. Yeah, I know. If they're just in that one entrance, I reckon it would look cool. You're allowed a good entrance. You're allowed, like, can you make us look cool on my entrance? That's pro wrestling, baby. Even I wouldn't complain about that.
John, they've got discounted light bulbs on Screwfix if you want.
Excellent. It's just like, yeah, we'll get it.
What's your login? What's your email?
Can I get one swinging off a string, just going round and round, please?
Yeah. Yeah.
They go to the floor early on. Claudio gets sent into the barricade, and then he's a freak, and he just picks up Joe and drapes him onto the barricade. Gets hit with a uranagi on the floor, though. A kick against the railing from Joe. He tries for the muscle buster when they go back inside, but Claudio bites free and targets his arm as we go to a break. Joe fights out the Cobra clutch when we come back.
The Cobra clutch.
Yes, double
deadly.
My hand drop, big boot.
Deadly.
Running senton, but Claudio again goes for the eyes. It's a big uppercut for 2. Springboard uppercut, goes to the giant swing, but Joe hits an up kick, and Claudio falls right into the coquina clutch and immediately taps out. Joe stands tall in the ring post-match. Here comes John Moxley, Marina Shafir, and Wheeler Yuta. But Powerhouse Hobbs appears with a chair and just batters Claudio with it as Mox just sort of stares at this. Joe sets up the chair in the ring and hits a front-face suplex onto it to make up for what they've done to some of the ops, right into his ribs. And Shibata, of course, last week. And Joe just stares Mox down as they hype the steel cage match at Beach Break next week.
Body of the match for me was meh. Hard hitting. Well done.
Yes.
I remember.
We're so tired of that, aren't we? All three of us.
Dimly remember when Death Riders very quickly was like, oh, God, this stinks. Oh, dear, and it's going to go on forever. I remember thinking, at least Claudio looks like he's in the groove here. Not anymore. Yeah. Like, he just doesn't look like he gives a toss. Like, he doesn't look like, I don't know. I think maybe he's affected by this widespread criticism of the angle, and he's maybe cashed in the old chips. Because
opposite the Hurt Syndicate, like, he's not confident in where any of this goes.
Yeah.
He's not like, oh God, I've got to live in this.
Yeah, I just didn't get much from his individual performance. Joe will bring it when he wants to bring it. I don't think either of them thought, let's have a total banger here. I did, however, like the booking and the structure, even though they will completely fool me, they are at least presenting the idea of, Hobbs has got a chair, he's an equalizer. If you dare try and get in that cage, he'll just ward them off and you might get a clean, dramatic contest. I like the finish here. I like the finish with the idea being, Joe's got that, he can hit it whenever he wants. Yeah. They will at least
It's been
play
really bad
with
for
that.
Mox as well.
Yeah. They will at least play with that. Imagine your Taz calling this as well. Just like Joe and Mox doing their chokes. Just like, none of this would exist without me. At least Taz is going to look forward to this match next week. I'm not so sure it's going to be great, but we'll see.
I quite liked Moxley's acting here at the end. I thought he pulled like some interest. I actually wanted to stare at intense John Moxley, and it's been a while since I felt like that. Just that sort of
He's showing weakness.
Yeah, he was contemplating his potential fate, and there was a little bit of fear and just as much weakness as John Moxley is prepared to show, being the hardest guy in the room. It's like there was
Sorry, John, I didn't realize you were joining us.
Hey.
Let's wrap. Like, John Moxley's like, you win this round, but like,
I win every round.
Joke's on you because it's a 3-round game and I'm going to win 2. Like, he still does that. He's still watching, being like, well done on your successful round. If only you knew that next week is worth 2. Away goals count double, Joe. See you in the cage. Like, that's always how he thinks. Oh my God!
It's a good wrestling match. Away pins or submissions count double.
Moxley's rules.
In a like an Iron Man. We'll fight 1 week in my hometown, 1 week in yours.
Instead of the Ambrose Asylum, it's like Moxley's mansion or something.
And the Mitch the Potted Plant. Bam, not a factor.
Where's it going to take place? So it's going to be a lights out match. It's going to be our little office.
maybe in the Young Bucks locker room.
If you can get through the smell of piss and it's mostly Wheelers. You can last a day without going on your cellular telephone.
Not like the rest of these punk kids, like Ricky goddamn Morton and Robert Gibson.
That's why he tied him up, just to stop him going on the phone.
Tweeting and blogging.
He used to reach for a hot tag. Now he just reaches for his goddamn cellular iPhone telephone.
Whatever to this business, I need to change it.
But all in all, a very enjoyable episode of AEW Dynamite. Let us know your thoughts on
If only
it.
we had something to clean the toilet with. Anyway, I'm just going to drink some bleach.
Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.
I'll confess again.
Or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. And make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, it's been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Hamflett, Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you soon. Real soon.
You got guaranteeing the pop.